All right, it's January 16th, 2020. It's 12:39 hours. I'm Sergeant Mitchell Sheehan, badge 9130 with the Cleveland Police Internal Affairs Unit. If everyone could just go around and state their names.
Sergeant Dominic Seaver, badge 9208, Internal Affairs.
Jeff Bulmer, CPBA.
Mr. Jackson, Black Shield Police Association.
Anthony Tomorrow, badge 624.
Officer, tomorrow, prior to being in the interview, you were given a order to submit to an administrative interview form. Do you understand the contents of the form?
Yes.
Okay, do you have any questions about it?
No.
Okay, any objections to the form? Okay, on August 15th, 2019, were you employed by the City of Cleveland while working the Feast of the Assumption?
Yes.
Okay, and what was your role there?
I work in the community service unit and we were detailed to the feast.
Okay. Did you have an encounter with two males named Joseph and Jonathan Workman?
If that's the males on the video, I didn't get their names.
Yeah, two guys with the guitars?
Yes.
Okay. When you first encountered them, what did you see?
There was some other patrol officers around them and they were about to get arrested.
Okay. Prior to this day, had you ever encountered these two guys?
I've never encountered them, but I've seen them around downtown before.
Okay. They always stand around and play their guitar? Is that what they do, or they just...
I've seen them on 4th Street playing their guitar.
Okay.
I was in the downtown unit, I think.
Are they normally allowed to do that?
I'm not sure, but I imagine.
Okay. Did you witness Captain DeZuba, or let me start with this, did you witness either of the two guys trying to record Captain DeZuba on their cell phone?
I don't know if they were trying to record them. They had cell phones.
Okay. Did you see Captain DeZuba try to take the cell phone out of one of the guy's hands?
I think during the arrest, I took one of the cell phones out of the person's hand.
Okay, but you didn't witness Captain DeZuba ever? Because the complaint is that Captain DeZuba grabbed the guy's hand when he was trying to film him and twisted his arm.
No.
You didn't witness anything like that?
No.
Okay. Did you witness Captain DeZuba use any sort of reportable force on either of these two guys?
No.
Okay. Do you know why they were being handcuffed?
They were being arrested.
Okay. But you kind of walked up while this was...
I don't know what the
while it was
charges
going
were,
on?
if you're
Okay.
asking.
Gotcha.
Other than they were just being arrested.
The way how I translate your video is that you kind of were walking up after this initially started. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So in your video, you take Joseph Workman's cell phone out of his hand. That's the guy
Oh,
with
the
the white
band.
T-shirt on,
Yeah, one of them.
and the video shows you hand it to Captain DeZuba.
Yeah.
Did you see what happened afterwards?
No.
Okay, so you didn't. Did you see Captain DeZuba with the phone after you handed it to him?
No, because I think even while I was putting stuff in the van, my camera caught DeZuba and he didn't have it.
Okay.
So I don't know if he set it down somewhere or...
And that's the next question. You don't know what he did with the phone after that?
No.
Okay. Do you know why these guys were arrested? Do you know what they were charged with?
No.
Okay. Were you present when they were issued a minor misdemeanor citation?
I think somebody was asking for a minor misdemeanor book.
Okay.
Or maybe as I was walking away or something.
But you weren't there. So after your camera goes off, you were out of there. You didn't return at all? You didn't have any?
No.
Okay. Did you see any other officers with their cell phone?
With the suspects?
Yeah, with that same cell phone that you took from the hand and handed to the Zuba.
No.
Have you heard anything about what happened to it by chance?
No.
Okay. If I say that question, you turned it on. Did you hear Captain DeZuba ever give an order for people not to have their cameras on
No.
while this incident was going on?
No.
Okay, what about for the feast in general? Did he ever make we don't have to have our cameras on? You never say anything like that?
No.
Okay. Do you know if the officers that were working overtime details were given the option to drive their personal cars to the feast?
I don't know.
Okay. So you were pretty much working for the community services unit when you worked at the feast, because you guys do all the events?
Yes.
Okay. So you didn't get any of that overtime detail that they had?
No.
Because
But
it seemed...
normally on the detail they report to the district and then they shuttle them over from the district to the...
Okay.
To the
Have you ever heard of guys being allowed to take their personal cars to a detail like that?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Do you have anything? Okay. Anything you want to add, or do you want to talk to the union about any of your answers, or anything you'd like to state before we conclude?
No.
All right, that'll conclude the interview. It is 12:44. Come on. Okay, it's still January 16th, 2020. It's 11:40 hours. I was talking with Sergeant Bush, Officer Bush here, and he had some information that should go on the record about your personal vehicle.
Yes. During the overtime or part-time when I was working the Feast of Assumptions, one day I drove my personal vehicle and parked it, and as other officers did as well. And one day I did ride on a bus with other officers for the convenient for us to go over there.
Okay, and on the day of this incident, you had taken it was a van,
Yeah, I took the van,
Okay.
yes.
but there were other days where you drove your personal
I
vehicle there
drove
and
my
parked
personal
there?
vehicle, yes.
Okay, all right.
And there was no roll call? Correct?
No,
You had no
yeah,
roll
we
call,
didn't-
and you filled out no duties for
I
that
didn't
day?
fill out no duty, no.
Okay, all right, that'll conclude it. 11:40. It is January 16th, 2020. I'm Sergeant Mitchell Sheehan, badge 9130 with the Internal Affairs Unit. If everyone could just go around the room and state their names.
Sergeant Demir, Save Word, badge 9208, Internal Affairs.
Jeff Fulmer, CPPA.
Mr. Jackson, Black Shield Police Association.
Officer Dominique Anderson.
Okay, Officer Anderson, prior to beginning the interview, you had an opportunity to review the order to submit to an administrative interview form. Did you understand the form?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the form?
No.
Okay, any objections to the form?
No.
No objections, okay. On August 15th, 2019, were you employed by the City of Cleveland while working the Feast of the Assumption?
Yes.
And what was your role at the feast?
I was working off duty.
Okay.
Part time.
Okay, but it was for the city?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. On August 15th, did you have an encounter with two males that are named Joseph and Jonathan Workman?
I'm not sure what their names are, but yes.
Two guys playing a guitar on the sidewalk?
Yes.
Okay. When you first encountered them, what were they doing?
They were playing the guitar.
Okay, were they breaking any laws at the time?
They were being loud and excessive with their guitar.
Okay, so the guitar was loud?
Yes.
Did they have an amplifier or anything like that?
Yes.
Okay. Were they on private property or public property at the time?
I believe they were on private. They were kind of in a hall in between
Okay.
the sidewalk and like a stoop almost.
Okay.
I'm not
Um,
sure.
Prior to this encounter, had you ever encountered these guys before while working as a police officer?
No.
Okay. And what happened when you guys walked up to them?
We just approached them and asked them what they were doing, and they told us they were just minding their own business. And I don't know exactly what was said, but they left after maybe 3 or 4 minutes of talking to them.
Okay, did they use any obscenities with you guys? Were they angry? What was their demeanor like?
They were pretty relaxed, but
Okay.
they were wondering why we were speaking with them.
Okay.
So
Did they use any cuss words or anything like that?
I don't recall.
Okay. Do you remember if either of them were filming with a cell phone?
I don't remember.
Okay. So they complied with the request to leave, is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And were you present or did you witness Captain DeZuba's initial encounters with these two guys?
No.
Okay. Did you witness either of them recording Captain DeZuba?
No.
Okay. Did you witness Captain DeZuba try to pull the cell phone out of one of their hands?
No.
Okay. Did you witness Captain DeZuba use any sort of force on either of the two guys?
No.
Okay. Do you know why they were being handcuffed?
I would believe some kind of disorderly conduct.
Okay. Did you know that at the time, or is that?
No.
Okay. Do you know why they were arrested?
Disorderly conduct.
Okay. Did you at any time see any police officer, including lieutenants, captains, sergeants, patrol officers, in possession of one of their cell phones?
No.
Okay. Do you know what happened to these guys' cell phone?
I do not.
Okay. Do you know if at first, or at the prisoner van, did these two guys refuse to identify themselves?
I believe so. I don't remember.
Okay. Were you present when they were issued minor misdemeanor citations?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to show you a picture of the property book.
Okay.
Let's see, it goes like this. Did you, I have it highlighted the line there. Is that your handwriting? Did you write that in the book?
No,
Okay, do you know who did write that in the book?
I do not.
Okay. Is it normal at the 3rd District to put multiple items on the same line?
Sometimes.
Okay. It just depends on what it is?
If we can't determine like what's what, then yes.
Okay, now what about making LERMS tags? Would that be standard when you enter property?
To put everything in one?
Or just put it into LERMS period?
Yes.
Like would you do like a property found report and
Yes.
do tags for each item?
For each item, if it was all together and I found it all
You
in
could
one
do
place,
one-
I would just do one and
Okay.
enter it all.
But you would put it into LERMS?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see here. Where was I? Are you assigned a WCS camera?
Yes.
And were you assigned it the day of the incident?
Yes.
Okay, how come it wasn't on during the incident?
I believed I was working part-time.
Okay. Did anyone ever tell you not to turn your camera on?
Yes.
And who was that?
Captain DeZuba.
And was that during this incident while the two guys were being arrested?
Yes, that was the
Okay.
only incident we had.
Okay. How many days did you work the feast?
Maybe 2.
Okay. Were you given the option of driving your personal vehicle there?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the reason for that? Do you know?
It's parking. It's Little Italy, so
Okay.
there's not much parking.
Okay.
So we just took the van.
Okay. But they said if you want, you can take your personal vehicle and park it there?
Mhm.
Okay. And who said that?
It was just a rumor that I heard. It was nobody that told me that specifically.
No one specific? Okay. All right. Do you have anything? Okay. Do you want to confer with the union before we conclude about any of your answers, or do you have anything you'd like to add that's important?
No.
Okay. That'll conclude the interview. It is 12:17 hours.
Okay.
It is January 16th, 2020, 13:08 hours. I'm Sergeant Mitchell Sheehan, badge 9130. If everyone can just go around the room and state their names.
Sergeant Damir Savor, badge 9208, Internal Affairs.
Jeff Fulmer, CPPA.
Mr. Jackson, Black Shield Police Association.
Scott Carey, badge number 2400.
Officer Carey, prior to beginning the interview, you had a chance to review the order to submit to an administrative interview form. Did you understand the form?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about the form?
No, sir.
Any objections to the form?
No.
Nope.
No objections. Okay. On August 15th, 2019, were you employed by the City of Cleveland while working at the Feast of the Assumption?
Yes.
And what was your role there?
I was to just patrol the streets.
Okay. At any time, did you have an encounter or witness an encounter with two males? Their names were Joseph and Jonathan Workman. They were the guys that had the guitars and bicycles.
Yes.
Okay. And what did you? What was your encounter with them, or did you witness an encounter?
Yeah, I witnessed an encounter. We heard a call go over the radio for assistance. By the time we got there were a ton of officers around the individuals. We kind of were, I guess, coming like into the scene. I didn't really see much. I know I tried to like do crowd control, mainly
Okay.
as with 2 other officers as we approached. So I didn't get to see like the initial encounter.
Okay. Did you witness Captain DeZuba use any force on either of the males?
No, sir.
Did you witness Captain DeZuba take either of their cell phones away?
They did arrest them. Yeah, I saw the arresting part, but there was no force. I don't.
Okay. They were just
I didn't
handcuffed?
witness- Yes.
Do you know why they were arrested? Or did you know why at the time? Why they were being arrested?
disorderly.
Okay. Did you witness that, or did you just...
No, that, like I said,
Okay.
we came upon that like probably in the middle of the incident.
Okay. After the incident or during the incident back at the prisoner van, did you go back to the prisoner van when they walked everybody?
I did. I
Okay.
ended up. Someone asked me to grab one of their bikes, and I ended up walking the bike back to the van.
Okay. And did you, at that time, did you witness anybody with the cell phone that was taken off of these two guys?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
No.
Did you witness these guys refuse to identify themselves?
Say that again.
Did you witness these two guys refuse to identify themselves?
The 2 guys that were arrested.
Yes.
Yeah, they were definitely given the whole everybody there a hard time about
Okay.
what was going on.
Okay. Did you ever handle any other property?
Nope, just the bike. Like I said, I picked the bike up, walked it back with everybody else to the van. I set it down next to the van, and I went back to patrolling.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you this because I asked everybody else. This is a picture of the 3rd District property book. I highlighted the line there. Is that your handwriting, or did you write that in the book?
I didn't handle any of it,
Okay.
and no, that's not my handwriting.
Okay. When you put something in the property book, do you make a tag and lerms for it? Put an entry in lerms and print out a tag?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was your WCS on your person during this incident?
I did have it on.
Okay, and how come you didn't activate it?
I was told not to.
By who?
The captain,
Okay, and when did he tell you that?
at the beginning, before we got dropped off.
Okay, so when you got dropped off to work the feast,
Yeah.
he said you don't need to turn
Yeah,
your
we
cameras
were told.
on?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and that, did you interpret that as no matter what happened, you shouldn't turn your camera on?
I was interpreted, yeah. I mean, hey, don't turn the cameras on.
Okay.
And we didn't.
All right.
We're good?
Is there anything you want to add before we conclude?
No, sir.
You got anything?
No.
All right, that'll conclude the interview. It is 13:12 hours. Okay, it is January 16th, 2020. I'm Sergeant Mitchell Sheehan, badge 9130 with the Internal Affairs Unit. If everyone could just go around the room and state their names.
Sergeant Demmer Sabor, batch 9208, Internal Affairs.
Jeff Fulmer, CPPA.
Mr. Jackson, Black Shield Police Association.
Cody Dorner, 3rd District, badge 2069.
Okay, Officer Dorner, prior to beginning the interview, you had an opportunity to review the order to submit to an administrative interview form. Did you understand the form?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the form?
No.
Any objections to the form?
Nope.
Okay, on August 15th, 2019, were you employed by the City of Cleveland while working the Feast of the Assumption?
Yes.
And what was your role at the feast?
We were just kind of like the roaming patrol, just watching, make sure everything went all right.
Okay. Did you have an encounter or witness an encounter with two males that were playing guitars and they were on bicycles?
The only time I seen them was when we initially first walked up the hill and they were playing the guitars. And I don't remember who it was exactly. 2 officers were just talking to them. And we just kept walking the other way because we didn't think much of it. They were just talking, we thought.
Okay. Did you witness them have an encounter with Captain DeZuba?
No.
Okay. Who were you working with that day?
I was with Carrie and Messina.
Okay. So you didn't witness any interaction with these guys and Captain DeZuba?
No, when we initially were walking down the hill, they called for the captain and somebody else saying these kids want to talk to him. And we were walking down the hill, and then we heard them call the radio, hey, we need more officers over here, and that's when we came up. And by the time we came up, they were cuffed, and there's like bikes, and that's where we just moved out of the way because people kept tripping over them.
Okay. Now, did you walk to the prisoner van with the...
Yes, we were. I was actually, I believe I was one of the front officers kind of clearing the path because, I mean, you know, it gets busy over there, so we're
Yeah.
just trying to make sure no one got in the way.
Okay. Did you witness any officers with either of these guys' cell phones?
No, I never. The only time I saw their cell phone was when they were first initially playing, and the kid was, I think he was recording when the first officers were just talking. That was the only time I've ever seen
Okay.
it.
So when the initial officers were talking to them, he was recording them
When they first
from
made
what
the
you could
initial
tell?
contact.
Okay. Did you witness what happened to any of the guys' property? Their guitars, their bikes, anything like that?
No, the only thing I saw, I think one of the officers had their bikes and he walked it down because he was next to me, and then he set it against the van because they're like, where do you want your bikes? And they said, just put them against the van. So that's what he set it against the van, and once they got to the van, we just walked away because I think like everybody was there for the most part.
Okay. Did you have your WCS on you at the time?
Did I have it on me or turned on?
On you.
On me, yes, I had it
Okay.
on me.
Did you turn it on?
No, I did not.
And why is that?
We were told initially from the captain not to turn them on, and then I was thinking we were off duty, so we didn't think we had to have them on.
Okay. And what made you think you were off duty?
I mean, we were just told it was kind of not a secondary employment, but we weren't actually working, not working for the district, but we were working kind of. We all filled out overtime cards, so
It was a detail.
It was a detail, I guess you could say.
Okay. But Captain DeZuba, was it while this incident was going on with these guys?
No,
that-
I believe when we first got off, it's hard to remember, but I believe when we first got off the bus and we all kind of like congregated and we were talking about who's working where, he said, you don't even need to turn your cameras on because it's like he said a detail.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Do you remember anything else about this incident that I didn't ask about?
No.
Okay. I'm just going to ask you because I asked everyone else. This highlighted line there, is that your handwriting?
No.
Okay. Do you know whose handwriting that is?
No.
Okay.
No.
If you would have put this in the book, would you have put an entry in Lerms and printed out a tag for the property?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
We're good.
You got anything else you want to ask these guys about anything you
No,
talked
good, sir.
about? Come back. Okay, that'll conclude the interview. It is 13:05 hours. It is January 16th, 2020, 12:50 hours. I'm Sergeant Mitchell Sheehan, badge 9130 with the Cleveland Police Internal Affairs Unit. If everyone can just go around the room and state their names.
Sergeant Damir Savor, badge 9208, Internal Affairs.
Jeff Fulmer, CPPA.
Mr. Jackson, Blake Shield Police Association.
Officer Carmen Messina, badge 1999.
Okay, Officer Messina, prior to beginning the interview, you were presented with an order to submit to administrative interview. Did you read the form and understand the form?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about the form?
Negative.
Any objections to the form?
No, sir.
Okay, so on August 15th, 2019, were you employed by the City of Cleveland while working the Feast of the Assumption?
I was.
Okay, were you working your shift or were you working detail?
Detail.
Okay. What was your role at the feast?
I was a rover. We were just walking around making sure to keep crowd control and peace keep.
Okay. At some point on August 15th, two guys were arrested. They were playing their guitars and had a confrontation with Captain DeZuba. Do you remember witnessing any of that?
Bits and pieces, not much.
Okay. Did you witness when the officers initially approached the guys when they were playing on the...
No, sir.
Okay. Did you witness any other interaction with Captain DeZuba?
Minimal.
Okay.
Very minimal.
Did you see either of these two guys trying to record Captain DeZuba with their cell phone?
Record Captain Zuba? No. I
Okay.
saw them recording the officers as they were walking away from us because we were at the top of the hill.
Okay.
We were walking down and they were walking away from us. So they were recording and then everybody kind of became a crowd.
Okay. Did you witness Captain DeZuba use any sort of reportable force?
No, sir.
Okay. The guy complained that Captain DeZuba grabbed his hand, he was recording it, and twisted his arm. Did you witness anything like that?
I did not.
Okay. Were you present when the males were being handcuffed?
Yes, but I was way behind the officers, so I didn't see anybody. I didn't see who did handcuffing or where
Okay.
they were handcuffed at.
Do you know why they were being handcuffed?
I would assume it would have been for disorderly conduct, but I didn't. I was so far back in the situation. I didn't see
Okay.
anything really.
Now, did you witness these two guys do any acts that you think would constitute disorderly conduct?
They were screaming and yelling, hollering. They seemed to be very irate, and other officers I know were told them. I told them to leave numerous times
Okay.
in the situation, but again, I wasn't really involved. So I
Okay.
can't
Now, were they
speculate.
screaming before they were handcuffed or while they were handcuffed?
They were pretty irate prior to the handcuffing, and then like they just kept moving down. They kept moving down the hill towards the stands, and then myself and the officers I was standing with were way farther back, just there just in case. But we weren't.
Okay.
We weren't like hands on.
Did you witness any of the officers with either of the male cell phones?
Negative.
Okay. And did you walk back to the prisoner van?
I did.
Okay. Did you witness whether or not these guys identified themselves?
I did not witness that. No.
Okay. Were you present when they were issued minor misdemeanor citations?
I was not.
Okay.
I only created a path to the van with
Okay.
the guys.
Did you have a WCS camera on that day?
I did have it with me. Yes.
And why wasn't it activated during the incident?
Normally, like we never really used them at the feast. I've done it a few times, but also Captain told us no cameras.
When did he say that?
Right around the time the gentlemen were being arrested, or prior to, right around there, people were like, no. Everybody just kept saying no cameras. Like Captain said no cameras. I got a no camera sign, so I didn't turn mine on. I didn't turn it off.
Okay. Do you know why he said that? Was there a reason or?
No, I didn't question it. Anytime
Okay.
somebody higher up says no camera, I turn it off.
Okay.
Or don't activate.
All right. For this incident, had you how many days did you work it on the detail?
I think I worked almost every day. I think I worked every day.
Okay, and it was overtime?
Yeah, I turned in an overtime card.
Okay. Were you given the option of using your personal vehicle to park there and work, or was it meet at the district and...
We all met at the district, and then
Okay.
we got transported.
Do you know if officers had the option to take their personal vehicle?
I think a couple guys did drive. I don't recall,
Okay.
but I want to say a couple guys did drive though. I
Okay.
parked in the family lot.
And you don't know who gave him permission to do that?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to have you look at this. This is just a picture of your guys' property book. and the lines highlighted. Did you write that in the property book?
I did not.
Okay. Do you recognize that handwriting?
I do not.
Okay. When you put something in the property book, do you also enter it into LERMS and put a tag on it?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And do a property found sort of report?
Yeah, there would have been a report done
Okay.
when we turned it in.
Okay. Do you normally put multiple items on the same line?
No, sir.
You usually do individual
there's
lines?
There's an individual line for each item.
Okay. Okay. Do you have any thing you want to add that's important that I didn't ask about, or do you want to talk to your union about any of your answers before we conclude the interview?
No, I'm fine.
You have anything? Good?
We're good, thank you.
Okay, that'll conclude the interview. It is 12:55.